this episode, I felt like it was appropriate to talk about you are more than your hustle. So, this is something that I feel like has been impacting me, and I kind of feel it coming because of the holidays. That's sort of something that prompts it for me. And I just felt like it was important to talk about it a little bit. And I just got a little quote here. Midlife is not a performance, it's a reclamation. And if you're tired of hustling through your own life, this episode's for you. So today we're talking about why you are more than your hustle, especially during the holidays. As I said, it is kind of a trigger, if you will, but also anytime your life gets loud, fast, or demanding. We could kind of get caught up in this energy, if you will. So, just in hearing you are more than your hustle, what thoughts come up? What feelings come up?
I try not to hustle, and I guess my idea of hustling is constantly doing, and needing to get things done and, pushing through and all of that stuff. But I don't like hustling. It's just too much for me. I think it's always been that way. And if I have ended up leaning towards that, it's because of other people, and it just makes me pull back because I'm like, why am I rushing? Why am I doing this? Because it's not for me, it's for other people.
So,
Then,
your idea of hustle is that constantly doing, and it comes from something external typically.
yeah, yeah.
I know. How about you, Dory? How do you relate?
My thought was like kind of along the same lines that Kim just talked about, but there's like an energetic current that I can feel. And if you've ever seen like a rushing creek or water or whatever, and you throw like a leaf or like a branch down into it, and it just, it gently falls and then boom, it's gone. Like that to me is what it feels like to get caught up in this hustle and bustle, energetic current. And it's something that I can feel, but kind of like what Kim was saying, it's for me, it feels like a pressure that isn't mine. And sometimes I recognize that I want to be in that, um, like whatever is going on in that space. There are times when I do want to be in that space, but I don't necessarily want to be carried off. So I have to figure out how do I step into this and not get carried away, or if I'm going to allow myself to get carried away, like ride the wave kind of a thing, then how do I just relax into it and let it carry me so that I'm not hustling for um, for the bank, if you will.
Mm.
And so there's that. But I've also had the complete opposite side of that, where is because that was the other thing that I thought about was, ooh, I have experienced hustle, like trying to keep up or doing something that wasn't necessarily what I wanted to, like it wasn't what I was focusing on, but I was trying to keep up with something, or ahead of something, outrunning something. Um, but I've also done the complete opposite, which was suppress that feeling entirely. And I like shut it down so that only what I was feeling and only what I was wanting to experience was the only experience that I was having, even though I was in the middle of all of these possibilities. So, and in a sense, um, not in a grounding sense, but like in a survival sense.
I also had a thought, an image came up when you both were talking, and it's funny because I haven't been to New York in so long, but the image of Christmas, the holiday season, that's definitely, what we're talking about, holidays, hustle and bustle. And I love just first of all, I love New York. I love New York City. and like the hustle. And so you have the air, the sound, the smells of, the Christmas holiday, and all those people shopping and doing all the last minute stuff. So, Dory, like what you were saying, I love being in that. Sometimes I want to be in that space because just to see it, to kind of feed off that energy.
Hmm.
But I don't take it on. What I imagine it feels like to describe, well, what I could have other people imagine what it feels like for me is, how the movie Magic where one person is standing and then everyone around them, all the stuff is moving at this really fast pace, but they're standing there. That's what it's like for me. I love watching everyone do all their thing, Christmas shop, even go, for food or walking down the streets, anywhere where I can just kind of stand back and just watch it. They're hustling. They're doing that hustle bustle and, happy and everything. But I'm just like, hmm, this is nice. Not taking it in, but just enjoying the view. So that's what I think about.
I love that.
Right.
And I think we've lived long enough to be able to do that in some respects, which I really appreciate. And I just want to reach out to the audience. And if you're listening, maybe to take a moment to notice where you are in your body, what hustle means to you, what it feels like, and consider how you would like to feel if, in fact, you do get caught up in the hustle and you'd like to be more like standing in that space and having it go on around you and not let it really carry you away. And what are your patterns that pull you? Do you have this habitual like FOMO comes to mind for me a little bit, and
Mhm.
I'm getting wrapped up into the busyness, like I don't want to miss anything, but at the same time, I really have to be aware of what my energy is. And sometimes it's fun to sort of get wrapped up in it a little bit and get carried away, but knowing what my personal limits are, I think really help me to ground a little bit better and let it go on around me versus, like you said, get carried away from it. And if you're not feeling how you want to feel in that situation, consider what small choice could invite a more supportive rhythm for you inside of what might be going on around you. And I think what happens sometimes, this is what I've noticed and I've been hearing, is that there's this kind of invisible performance pressure, especially in the holidays. And again, this doesn't apply only to the holidays, but again, it just sort of amps it up a little bit, which plays into like cultural conditioning, which I know we've talked about. And there could be maybe pressures to to be joyful, to be productive, to host things, to plan things, to support other people, and hold emotional space for them. Really, what am I trying to say? Kind of live up to outside expectations, and they may not actually feel good for you. And I've experienced in my own life where it can be subtle and I'm just like, okay, I'll just do this one other thing. Okay, I can just do this one other thing. All right, it's not so bad. It's just kind of this sprint and then I'll be done. But what I noticed in my own life was that these little things add up and the subtleties can turn into a full-blown burnout that now I'm carrying into the new year when I'm supposed to feel refreshed, renewed, and sort of get on planning and resolutions. I actually do values, but it's kind of the societal way of doing things, and we often get swept into that. So just noticing your patterns in your own life, if any of these types of things show up, and where they may or may not serve you. So, ladies, have you had any instances where in your previous lives where you got caught up in this? Or how did you learn to come to the place where you're really observing yourself and you get to make the choice of where you land in this?
I'm trying to think of a timeline here. I think it was like 3, 4 days ago.
Oh,
Well, let me just tell you what happened. I, so I've got a lot going on right now. And um, we got invited to a Thanksgiving meal, and we thought it was going to be dinner. And instead, it's going to be a breakfast.
Oh,
And yeah, I've never done this. So it'll be fun to try
no.
something new. But my kids all came to me, not all of them, a couple of my kids came to me and said, will you please do a Thanksgiving dinner? So I was like, all right. So I reached out to him and I said, okay, it's been expressed, you know, people want to do this and I am willing to host it, but I cannot do it all by myself. Like I'm gonna need some help. So this represents to me, like the question you were asking, brought this up to my mind. Like, okay, here are like I also felt a little disappointed um that we weren't going to be doing a Thanksgiving dinner and like this traditional meal and sitting down and, kind of the nostalgia of it. I was gonna miss it. I could feel. And um, so I had already felt that way, but there was this outside pressure. Anyway, so it's just as recent as the other day, but what I had to do was zoom way, 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 way out and just like, okay, so what path needs to be cleared in order for me to be able to do this without um, you know, self-abandoning in some way. So that, yeah, we're just as recent as this week. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I'm curious,
Yeah.
how did you know that that was beginning to happen? How did you know you were in that situation and that something needed to be addressed?
I start to feel pressure. It's almost like on my front side and on my back side, it's like kind of being put between like a vice grip kind of a thing. And I just start feeling this pressure and I'm like, whoa, okay, this doesn't get to define my actions for the next few weeks or, because I can, if I get caught up in that, then it will just carry over into the next month and then into the coming year. Like I've done this enough times to know, like, yeah, I can't allow this to set the tone for the next 3 months of my life. That's not what I want. Um, and so, and kind of like, I can't remember. Oh, it was you, Danny, who talked about choosing the rhythm.
Mm.
Like, so I'm familiar with, I'm a musician of sorts. And so with the metronome, you know, there is a certain rhythm that it will set so that you keep the tempo of, if you play a song, you keep it at a certain tempo. And so internally, it's like setting a metronome, going, okay, this is the rhythm that I want things to go at. And I'll intentionally set it, and then I can feel the release of whatever has been pressuring me to do something. And it's not, I guess I shouldn't say it's not so much a vice grip, but it's almost like um being squeezed through this really tiny space, but knowing that what's going to happen on the other side of that is I'm going to be launched into something, and I don't want that either. So I've experienced it enough times.
How about you, Kim? Like where have you found yourself in a situation like this? Maybe even previously or recently, where you kind of knew this was happening and you've obviously had to come to a place where you identify that this is happening. What are those signs?
I probably would have to go back further, but honestly, I think it's just from watching other people, seeing how it's building up in them and going, yeah, I don't want that. So it's not really it's not a body awareness for me. I'm seeing them and I'm just like choosing, yeah, I don't want that. I'm not going to do that. I will try to say like you guys do that. I'm not going to really stop you, but I will try or have tried to interject. Let's maybe slow down, stop thinking ahead. Let's kind of pace ourselves or at least take a break. But if you have to go, 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 because that works for you, cool. I'm on a mission. I need to get this done. But yeah, my thing is really seeing other people and just going, I don't want that. And so I kind of lean back, step back, and just watch them. And then if I have to do something, I do it, hand it over because they need it. It's what, fuels them to keep them going. And that's it. I I don't like feeling rushed or pushed or forced by other like external factors. If it's my thing, then that's fine. But it's never really hustling and to the point where I am self-betraying myself or um, creating this physical unease. I don't do that. I try not to do that.
Oh, what a beautiful thing. And just what I'm getting from both of you talking is there's a lot of personal choice, like these little
Mm.
micro choices that you've made about how you want to feel. Like I've heard you say, like, I don't want to feel like that. I know that this could carry on over into the next few months of my life. And so for people listening, if they're kind of stuck in this space where they don't know if that's an actual choice or they don't know how they want to feel, what would you say? How would you advise
Pause.
or pause?
Pause. Yeah, if they're stuck in a space and they're they're uncomfortable for whatever the reason, um, they have to pause because it's like just bring it back to being present, seeing how you feel, what's going on in your body. Are you ignoring it? Are you feeling just some kind of way, your stomach or just your breathing? Like, are you breathing? First of all, it's like, oh, I got to do all this stuff. But are you purposefully breathing? And are you ignoring the signs and symptoms of your body? Especially so if you're constantly doing something or just saying, okay, I can get through it, just one more thing, and you have a headache. You know you have a headache, but are you ignoring it? Do you feel nauseous or sick? Are you ignoring it? And to say, okay, I'll feel better. I'll drink some ginger ale or something like that. Um, you know, do you realize you're holding your breath longer than you should? Um, so that's where the pause comes in. It's being very present. So whatever happens after that will depend, at least for me and what I tell them, on what comes from pausing and then recognizing where you are.
Yeah, awareness is powerful.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, exactly. That's what I was just about to say, is it's self-awareness. I find that when I am too close to something, I tend to not be self-aware because I'm so focused. And um and so I actually have to step back and there's an actual image in my mind of like having some sort of a lens that puts me at the 20,000-foot view versus, a 5-foot view or even a 5-inch view. And depending on how close I am will determine on how aware I am of how much information I'm actually able to take in of the experience that I'm trying to have. So if I can't, um, and I'm realizing that sounds it sounds a little different. Like there's my self-awareness, right? But there's also the awareness of everything. And if I can't take in the right amount of information, then my body, I'm not registering the right kind of information in my body. Does that make sense? So the two are going on at the same time. And so when when I zoom out, kind of like with this Thanksgiving thing, immediately I was like, okay, how far do I have to zoom out in order to be able to take in all of the things? And it was like, for me, it was like clear till March. I need to zoom way out. And so just make sure like what kinds of things are happening between now and March that are on my mind now that I need to just get out of my head so that I can be 100% present and aware in this coming week, like in 2 days, right? And so, I just went to work and I got really clear on what that looked like for me so that I could be present then and wouldn't feel like I needed to, okay, I'm done with this dinner. Now on to the next thing. It would just be more like an intentional stepping into, all right, now on to the next thing.
Yeah, I love the zoom out, right? And I love that you said, excuse me, that being too close to something or too overly focused can change things for you. And what I notice is that like I know my energy and I basically know my capacity for things. And then when I get in proximity to my family unit, it changes somehow. Like all of a sudden I'm not keeping up a boundary for myself as well. And I take in some of the things that are actually not mine. And I know we've talked about this before. And I think it really boils down to really knowing yourself, knowing what your capacity is, and having that ability to zoom out and be like, okay. And I've been very wrapped up in that previously. And it's taken a lot of practice, a lot of years to recognize, oh, okay, this is a pattern and this is happening. And before I go into a situation now, I'm like, okay, where is my capacity? Where are my energy levels at? And how do I want to feel throughout this situation, event, whatever? And then I really try to keep in touch with myself to figure out, okay, if I start to drift from that or I start to have bodily sensations that are telling me that I'm moving away from that and I'm overdoing in my capacity, then I need to, again, pause. That pause, I think, is imperative to take, even if it's just a few breaths or if you sneak off outside, go into the bathroom, whatever it is you need to do. I've had to do that before to just recenter myself and connect back into how I want to feel throughout this. And also, it helps me to feel more confident and solid in verbalizing that and really
Mm.
manifesting that outward instead of just keeping it to myself and like protecting myself. I really get to say, I need to take a break right now, or no, that doesn't feel good for me, or sure, I would like to do that. And that has been a game changer. That has been a major shift for me. And I'm wondering if it sounds like the both of you have really come to a place where you're good with this. Like you know how to navigate that now. And I'm wondering what types of things did you like, where was the aha moment? Where did you go, oh my gosh, I kind of asked this before, but like I have choice and I want to maintain the consistency to commit to this for me.
I don't know if this really directly applies. Um, to make a choice and to be constant. It's funny because I may have mentioned before how if something comes up and I don't, my mind is going, and I just say stop, or I give myself a word to kind of stop the rumination and whatever it is I'm thinking. So as far as, yes, that pattern of seeing other people and experiencing what they're doing, I have told other people that same tactic that, to say, okay, find a word, find a trigger, and just say, not a trick, find a trigger, but find a word, do something to get you to stop doing that thing, or in this case, to pause. And I remember I told someone at work that just because he was going on and on and on about stuff for his job. And I was like, okay, just stop. Just just say stop to yourself. You could say it any old time. But I think for that, it's still brings you back to reality. It brings you back to your space, your place where you get to go, okay, what am I doing? I'm kind of all over the place. Maybe they're rushing or hustling and doing all that, or trying to do everything for everyone else, and they've lost their place. But all they have is this momentum, but no direction. And so saying, okay, stop, pause, hold up, wait, whatever it is that gets them to be mindful of themselves, to see where they are, then I think that's for me. I'm able to be able to do that, recognize that pattern in myself if that comes up in other people, so that they can be consistent and I can be consistent in having that around me in my environment. It's always
So,
about other people.
so your question was what was the choice point? What was that
Yes.
moment?
Hmm.
Um, so for me, I remember um, a couple, they were probably 7 or 8 years apart. So it was like one learning point and then another learning point. The first learning point was I remember I kept getting these internal impressions, is what I'll call them, and they were consistent. And I was like recognizing a pattern, which was I was ignoring them. And then I would find myself saying, man, if I had just listened to myself, I would have not experienced the thing that I just experienced, which was really uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable like growth uncomfortable, but uncomfortable as in like I just kind of, shot myself in the foot on that one. And I could have listened to myself and would have avoided that. Um, and so it happened enough times that I was like, how about if I just like trust myself? you know, why don't I just like lean into that? And so that I did that for a few years. And then there was this other moment, as you asked the question, I've been thinking about it. I was like, when was that moment? Um, there, I remember having this, this sense, like if I could choose on the other side of this experience what I wanted to be feeling so let's say I'm going to a family party, and at the end of the family party, when I am saying goodbye and I'm walking out the door, what is it that I want to be feeling on that way out? And I realized that I could be super intentional about how I stepped into the space and how I paced myself while I was in the prep work, um, and in that space, how much I really uh, shared of myself, and that they're also like knowing. So I'm someone, just FYI, I'm someone like if I've got my game on, I've got the next 5 to 10 years planned. Like that's just me. And I'm always thinking 6 to 12 months in advance, always. So if, and so I know like not only am I thinking about what do I want to be feeling when I leave this experience, but what kind of traction will that give me into the next thing that I'm just about to start doing? And so I started to experiment with that a little bit, and I noticed like it helped me build momentum. It helped me stay calibrated, but in a way that I needed to, because I was also listening to myself. So there was listening to me, trusting, but also trusting the frequency, this feeling, like I want to feel peace by the time I end this experience. So that meant all of my conversations that I engaged with, or the people, the experiences, there needed to be this peaceful tone, what peace meant to me. And it literally feels like a frequency just kind of running through my body. And as long as I can maintain that frequency, then I know I'm on target and I am trusting myself in that place. Anyways, that's um, those two pieces kind of helped me get to that space of being able to zoom out.
Yeah, Kim, you said something that stuck with me, and that was having the momentum with no direction, which I think is a great definition for hustle. Um, say more.
Having no momentum with having momentum with no direction.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of like you're just running, you're doing for yourself because you have this checklist. You're doing for other people because they need something done, and it's just piling up. Um, it's kind of this image I just got where you're at a desk and you have the stack of papers and then another stack. Your boss or somebody puts more and more and more, and you're just like, I just need to get through this stack of stuff. But eventually, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know why you're doing it. You don't know who you're doing it for. You don't know where you are in it. So I think that's what I mean by having this momentum to get it done but no direction, no idea why you're doing it. And so you get lost in it. And that's when I think, well, you just kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say burnout because it doesn't necessarily lead to burnout in that moment, but it could lead to burnout. But you get probably a little bit sad or confused and maybe depressed a little bit because you're not you just don't know what you're doing and what you're doing it for. And you may start to question your life, your job, your family, the space that you're in. It's just like, why am I even here? What am I getting out of it? So that's
Like a loss of purpose.
loss of purpose, loss of self. Yeah. Because you feel like, but I'm busy, I'm active, I'm doing all this stuff, but what are you doing? And if you can't answer that, or if you can't say, well, okay, why are you doing it? I don't actually know, but I'm busy, but I'm busy. But okay, momentum. Sure, I'm busy. No direction. That's what I
That's,
mean.
I really love that because what I heard you say was the value was on the purpose until the value shifted to the busyness.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of people that do feel value from being busy because they think they're going somewhere, but they're really just spinning their wheels when they step back and they have that same aha, like, what am I even doing? Yeah, I really love
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, I noticed that it's really big for me in conversation when you say, "Oh, how are you?" "Oh, I've been really busy. I've been so busy." And they name, people will name off all of the things that they've been doing and the wheels that have been spinning. And I'm like, whenever I get in that conversation, I'm just like, I really want to know how you are. I want to know how you
Mm-hmm.
feel. I want to know what your purpose is. I there's a small amount of irritation when someone says, "I'm so busy." I just want to be like, "All right, time out. Can we talk about the other things? Like the purpose, what drives you, what lights you up, kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing." And Dori, I feel like this direction inside of momentum is something that you have on lockdown. Do you want to share any of your inside information on that? What would you have thought?
I have it on lockdown.
I think so. I've seen it in
Yes.
action.
Yeah. I have to be really careful. This is where like it literally like I can be like a machine and just bulldoze over everybody in front of me. And my husband will even say like, "Okay, watch out, here she's coming," like everybody move. And I've had to learn how to um slow down my um I'm actually in the middle of learning how to slow down enough to notice what is going on with the people around me as
Mhm.
well as the circumstances around me. And because it's with people that I need to slow down with, right? And learning how to navigate through really, really quickly without hitting anyone, kind of like a bowling ball. That's actually a really good example.
Yeah.
I can't be like that. So I've had to learn how to do that. So I think um, like Kim will say to herself, no, stop. And my phrase is trust yourself. Trust yourself. This is like you've heard your voice over and over again. This is your frequency. This is your tone. Trust yourself. And I'll literally say those things to myself, which is very reassuring in times when I'm like, I don't know, I've never done this one before. Um, I think also something that has worked really well for me, something that gives me a bird's eye view, is I do have to map out, like literally map it out like a brain map, um, all the things that I have going on in a linear way so that I can, because all things are multidimensional, right? And so if I can see chronologically what I've got going on, then I can also see the ebbs and flows that I am going to need to be prepared for in what's coming. And in addition to that, account for generally 25%. I'm going to be dealing with emergencies 25% of the time. Like, because that's just life. Sometimes you're going to get things thrown at you like, hey, can you do a Thanksgiving dinner in like 5 days? You betcha.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to, um, I've gotten to the point where, well, I was at the point where I could do it without mapping it out anymore. I could literally map it out in my brain. But this part now where I'm having to really focus on what are the people doing? What's going on in the lives of the people in my life? I'm not super locked down on that one. I'm a little hesitant to to rev that engine, if that makes any sense. Like
Yeah. I'm curious
oh,
what the consequences, benefits,
mhm.
outcomes are of having direction in the momentum
um,
for you.
if I'm not aware, I do not have the ability to pivot quickly.
Mm.
But if I am aware, like, and meaning like my intention is so ego driven that I'm not willing to stop, right? I'm not willing to shift really quickly. Um, but if I can stay out of that ego, when I talk about the ego, I'm talking about like the protective sense, like I'm coming through, everybody watch out, this is all about me. If I can stay out of that space and really be more of a like come it through with synergistic energy, then I can pivot really, really quickly. But that does require me to zoom out even more. It just, for me, it does. Because I'm taking in way more information. So I have to back up just a little bit more and make sure that I can account for all the things. So does
Yeah.
that make sense? I know I'm talking a lot, like
Yeah. I mean,
very
yeah, this is
metaphorically, but it's literal
such a
too.
great perspective and it's yours. And so,
Hmm.
yes. But I noticed Kim, you had said, and I think you got this one on lockdown, right? Is the people part, right? You're in the environment kind of piece versus kind of this other perspective coming directly from you. Can you say
Hmm.
more about that?
Yeah, I would say I'm a people watcher, but like constantly, because sometimes people are acting the same or they're pretending to be a certain way, and I noticed that too. But the anyone who's being true to themselves or outside of how they normally are, I will probably pick up on that really quickly. Um, and I just kind of see, I just notice other people doing things and um, it just kind of like, all right, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? I may ask myself those questions, not necessarily trying to get into their business, but I'm just observing. And that's just kind of what I'm doing. And so, um, if there's something that I can assist them with, um, if they, whether they, it used to be whether they asked me or not, I was just like, let me just interject. Let me help you out a little bit. They may take it, they may not, but it's just like, okay, I see this and how can I help them along their path, journey, whatever it is that they're trying to do. If they're trying to get something done, then I may say, okay, hold on a second. Let's figure out what you're doing. What are you doing? Tell me what it is you are doing. And sometimes it takes them a while to really verbalize what it is. So if they can't verbalize it, if they can't sit there, it's not like they have to be put on a presentation. It's just like, tell me what you're doing so I can understand it, so you can understand it. And if they can't, okay, that's something too. You're having that momentum, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't have that purpose, that direction. But then if they can, then I just say, okay, cool, you got it. But if it takes them a while to say what it is they're doing, I know that it's actually helping them to find that direction to say, okay, I'm like digging through all these papers or doing all this work, but what are you doing it for? What is your end goal? What is your desired outcome here? And once they can get it, once they can capture it, then I'm like, all right, cool. Then I can sit back or help if they need help, whatever it is. But that's kind of how I see that momentum and direction. You kind of have to have it. And it's for me, if I find myself doing a whole lot of work, um, I mean, I know why I'm doing it, but if I'm just going, I'm doing this, like five different things, I may go, okay, hold on. Um, what am I actually trying to get done right now? Right? What is the priority that I need to do? So if there's a priority project or something, then let me just put those other four things down and work on this one thing because this directly leads to what I need to get done first. The others are not, they're important, but they're not a priority. And I can still kind of um, do a little bit here and there and then go back to it. But that's my thing. When I'm doing too much, it's not hustling, but it's just like, oh, ooh, ooh, squirreling, ooh, I can do all this. And then I go, yeah, that's way too much. So I think that's kind of my trigger where it's just saying, oh, I'm doing this is too much is in my head. Way too much. And I want to do way too much, too many things. And so I'm not getting anything done. I'm not being productive in a way that makes me comfortable at the end of the day when I say, how do I feel? And if I'm just like, I didn't really do anything, but I was working, I was doing all, you did a whole bunch of stuff, but you didn't accomplish anything. So that's how I notice it. And that's what I do, manage myself and other
So
people.
so you notice it because your mind is overactive and you're kind of a little bit scattered. Like, I'm just curious, like, how do you know, like, okay, I'm doing too much?
Oh, well, so it's not that my mind is scattered. Um, I'm not overthinking or being overactive. It's just I sometimes I want to do all five of those things. I want to do them. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. And then after a while, I mean, that after a while could just be within a few minutes, within a day, to however long I'm doing it. And it's just like, oh, wait, I'm, I think my mind and my body tells me, I don't even have the words for it, quite honestly. It's just like, it's just, I don't have the words for it. My body tells me something. And, I think sometimes in that moment, my head will say, how about a headache?
Ah,
Let's give you a headache. And then that'll show you that you are doing way too much here. Let's refocus, do that one thing. It just reminded me of something. I was going years ago and up to not this long ago, I would go, "Oh, I need to focus on one thing." Yeah, well, I can do more than one thing. I can, 3 to 5 things. It's fine. I don't have to focus. I don't have to study. I don't have to learn this one thing because I like five. I wrote it down. I'm like, I like five. And mind you, these are massive um, things, esoterica, it's just, I mean, come on, let's think of everything that
But you're talking simultaneously.
simultaneously,
Okay.
yes. It's just like I want to, I can learn about this, I can do this, I can do that, I can work on this project. And then it came back to no, focus on one thing because you get overwhelmed. And that's the thing. Maybe that's what my body tells me. It's like, okay, eventually I feel overwhelmed. And then I go, okay, let me pull back. And I've had this push pull of, oh, focus on one thing. Nope, you can do all of it. Do the one thing. Nope, you can do all of it. Do the one thing. Nope, you can do all. Overwhelm. One thing. Boredom. Overwhelm. Boredom. Over.
Oh,
And
that's interesting. I hear you actually describing push-pull.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the push pull. Boredom. Overwhelm. And I did that so much until I figured out what worked for me. And so that's how my body kind of tells me I get a headache. Definitely get a headache because I'm doing too much or feeling overwhelmed or stressing myself out. No one can stress me out more than myself, and I do a good enough job of that. So when that happens, I basically say, okay, let's stop here. Let's, you know, rethink what I'm doing and the purpose of it.
So I have a follow-up question. A couple of times you have used this phrase, what am I even doing?
Hmm.
And to me, as I've listened to you, what I've heard you describing is something that is kind of a like a red flag, like Mayday. So, we're just about to head into this, whatever it is you're not wanting to head into.
Mm.
I'm wondering, like, where does that fall into, like we have kind of these protective measures, and like phase one would be, we have phase one, we have phase two, we have phase three, until it's like, all right, now we are, um, it's not like you can't recover from it, but it's like, okay, now I have actually done the thing I did not want to do. Right. And so I'm just wondering, like, where does that, it sounds like it's a trigger warning, like not a
Mm.
trigger, but like a trigger warning to you. Like, I'm not focused on what I want to be focused on. I am getting carried away by other pressures.
Hmm.
I'm just wondering, like, at what point for you is that trigger warning coming in and warning you, like, hey, slow down or get focused?
Yeah. I get confused. I get confused at what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And if, whether I'm writing something or if I'm, being active and doing something, I'm going, I don't, what was I doing? Like I'm writing something, but what am I writing about? It's just this confusion, um, because I've lost the direction. Like I may have known it going in and I knew clearly what I was doing, whether it was for myself or other people, but then I think it's also because my mind is like, ooh, how about this? Ooh, here's an idea. Ooh, what about that? Put that in there. And of course, all my ideas are amazing and incredible. And I just want to go, yeah, let's do that. And then I go, wait, what was I doing? What was the point of this? Because I have gone off on these fantastical ideas, trying to fit it all in, or start doing something else completely different and going, but I was doing that. What am I doing here?
Uh,
So it's a confusion and um it's just like I don't know if there's another word for other than confusion. I just
mm-hmm.
get confused.
Disoriented, or is it different than that?
It's different than disoriented. It's just more like what am I doing?
Mm-hmm.
What am I doing?
Fair.
I get lost in my ideas and wanting to bring them to form and incorporating stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a loss of direction. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely go, I'm confused at what's going on and what I'm supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
doing. What are we doing? What's going on here? I don't understand it because whatever, if I'm with other people, I just get to a point and go, what are we doing? Where are we going with this? Because I've lost it. And so if someone can say, okay, this is what we're doing, XYZ, and I go, oh, okay, it's almost like, let me get back. Okay, now I'm in my lane. Now I'm good. But if I start to swerve or sway out of my lane, I can't find it. And then I have to reset.
Ah, so it's the warning, like if you go beyond that, it's
Hmm.
you got to reset. But if you listen to it, you just you get back in your lane. Okay,
Yeah,
got
I
it.
just kind of realign as I'm doing it. So if notice, oh, I'm going close to getting out of my lane, or my understanding of it, then if I notice it, I can slow down
Mm-hmm.
or pay attention more, um, just kind of be more present. But if I let my mind take me somewhere else and not listen to other people or even to myself, then it's going, what? I'm so lost. And I've said this in conversations, like, because everyone's talking, but everyone has their perspective and what they want to do and this and that, whether it's, a team or it's just like, I don't know what we're talking about because there's so many different ideas. And
Right.
everyone has either, lost the goal, lost
Yeah.
their
Are we even
purpose.
talking about the same thing anymore? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so I noticed that mainly because I'm confused.
Mm-hmm.
And say, you guys can have it, you can understand it, but I'm confused. So please bring me back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Cool.
Yeah, I love where this conversation has how it's blossomed because that is kind of the subtleties of, oh, whoa, now I'm out of my lane and realizing I am out of my lane or out of my capacity or whatever, and then
Hmm.
bringing ourselves back to that lane, resetting and using that awareness as and momentum intentionally versus just, full on gas pedal and not knowing where
Hmm.
you're going. Like that can be hard. And I think that it is so subtle sometimes that we don't even realize that it's happening and we just get like sucked up into the vortex of it all. Right. So it's
Hmm.
been really fun to see the differences in how,
Mm-hmm.
everybody, the both of you see that, how it feels for you, what your strategies are, your experiences, and how you've come to the place of awareness and intentionality, creating that direction for yourself.
Yeah, I wanted to just add another thing. It was an awareness that I picked up as Kim was talking, as she was describing her experience. I was like, "Oh, that totally makes sense." So um and what it meant for me, which was sometimes like kind of going back to being directionless and trying to figure out like when you were saying like what are you doing, tell me what your purpose is, and the image that I got was like bumper cars, like tell me where you're going so I know I'm not going to bump into you because I got somewhere I'm going, and I'm not necessarily wanting to be derailed. And sometimes we do have to have those conversations with people, and but the other image that came to my mind was uh, I'm thinking about like if you've ever like sometimes I feel like I'm moving at the speed of light. So if you think of like a highway and you can see everyone else driving at a normal pace, but I'm cutting through the traffic, you see like this line of light. And that would be like my car moving at that speed. And I'm just like boom, 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 kind of like that Harry Potter show, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is literally how I feel like when I am on and I'm just in rhythm and um I also am able like running at full capacity and I have the capacity um to operate in that way. That is
Yeah.
what my life looks like. and I'm doing like there are some times where I feel like I'm doing 40 things to everyone else's one. And that's just like that's my energy type. That's just how
Mhm.
it works for me. And I cannot sustain that energy all the time. I cannot do that. But if I'm on, I know that's how I'm moving through. But as she was talking, I was like, oh, yeah, it would be good to understand what other people are doing. Because if I'm moving through that quickly, like, of course, I'm not going to be derailed, but I could just like split their car in two and just keep going and not even be aware of it, you know?
Mhm.
So, which has happened 100%. That's been a thing for me. So, that
That
was
is
really an interesting connection.
yeah, that's an important point too, because I'm sitting here observing, I'm going, oh, our energy types as far as human design really shine through. Like you
Mhm.
having the manifesting generator and just can just, 10,000 things at once. Ba-da-da-da-da. For me, I'm like, I can step into that briefly, but then I have to come out as a projector, especially, I don't go too into this, but as an emotional authority, right? I have to really be cognizant of my energy, really um, determine how it is that I want to feel. And then as that matches up and the invitations come and the things open up, then I can step in and I can really have that momentum. But if I'm trying to push something, like mentally or physically,
Mhm.
I just get this shutdown. And then that's when I feel that hustle energy with this directionless. And I'm just
Mhm.
trying to create something and make it happen. And then I feel resentful and I feel bitter and I feel irritable and it just a lot of negative stuff comes up and it really impacts my body. And then when I again come into that space where I'm like, oh, this is where I belong, this is my energy, this is what feels good, then somehow I feel energized and I really have the ability to do that. And
Mhm.
something that I'd like to bring up that has been relevant for me is that rest is a productive action. And I've really
Mhm.
had to work at that because I would even lay down and be like, my brain and all the pieces of me that are conditioned socially are like, you can't do that. That is lazy. You are not doing anything. You can sleep when you're dead, kind of a thing. And that's actually me falling into almost like your type of energy, Tori.
Hmm.
Like, because people around me do have that. And that's where I get kind of like sucked into that. And I
Hmm.
know that Kim is also a
Mhm.
projector. I'm wondering
I
what
am.
your take on that energy is.
Yeah. I'm growing more into understanding my energy and, where I've exhausted it, how I can maintain it, use my own energy for as long as as possible. Rest. I had a moment the other day, actually, sitting on the couch, doing nothing, watching TV, and suddenly I was just overcome with this need for sleep. Or
Mm.
just, I mean, it's not just, oh, let me just rest. No, I needed to sleep. It was just like my body said, all right, ding, 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 go to bed. And it was in the afternoon or, early evening. And I slept for an hour and I was just like, oh, I miss naps. But this wasn't oh, I'm tired. Let me take a nap. This was, we're going to shut you down right now. And so I went straight to bed. But yeah, it's just a matter of understanding my energy and because I'm splenic authority, I have to listen to my body, my intuition, and all of that. But I thought about something. Um, you're like, oh, I have to lay down and not take on other people's energy and those around you. Well, I have a defined head in ajna, and so I was learning that meditation for me does not work if I just want to not take a nap, but just meditation. So sitting up. The reason why sitting up for defined heads and asanas or defined heads is because the inspiration, the ideas, everything's constant. It's constantly coming. And so when you're sitting up, it's just like you're kind of meeting that field. And so it's like, okay, lay down. Don't go to
Mm.
sleep. But what it does is take you out of that path in a sense, that connection. So it's almost like if it's up here, let's just come. slightly bring your head out of it, because the energetic flow is different somehow. And so you can either, sit in your little Buddha pose and then lay flat, lay forward, or just lay back. Just lay down back, on your back. Was it supine? Um, and did I say that right? Yep, supine. And that way, that works so much better for me. So that's just listening to my intuition,
Ooh.
following that. Ooh.
Well, I have a completely open head, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, that is such good
Oh,
advice. Yes.
oh.
I've noticed that too. It's almost like I can sit resting, doesn't work. I have to actually lay down and it can only be 25 minutes or 20 minutes, like
Mm,
that. That will give me like a 2 hour kind of recharge. And it's almost like I call it Cinderella at the ball because I'd be like, I'll be my like extroverted self. And then all of a sudden it'll be like, bing, it hit me. I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. And I just have to now be alone. I have to now recharge. And I think maybe some people could relate to that as like maybe the extroverted energy or introverted energy, maybe kind of how that feels, like the sense of that.
mhm,
That's kind of how I related it to people who don't kind of are not into human design, I guess.
mhm.
It's really interesting to
I
see
love
how
this.
this plays out in other energy types. So I've got a friend who's a manifester, and she has to take a nap every day at 1 o'clock, every day.
Yeah.
And as we know, like manifestor energy types, they just self-protect, they self-preserve.
Mhm.
And um and I've often wondered, like, because she asks it enough that I'm like, I don't know, why does she sleep every day? And now I'm like, oh, I think it's that she needs to lay down and allow her body to, like, even her brain or whatever, just let things regenerate, let them um, reset, if you will. And I think she has a lot coming in all the time
Mm.
and is processing it all the time that she really kind of has to give herself a break. But I mean, she's in her 60s and every day has to nap. So it's just interesting to see how that plays out in other energy types. So,
Yeah.
and I do need a
Mhm.
nap, but I literally can like 20 minutes. That's it. I lay down 20 minutes, boom, no alarm. It just happens.
Yeah, before it was like, how do y'all do 20 minutes of 15-minute cat nap? No, I need an hour to 2 hours, but that was because I wasn't resting. I was around other
Mm,
people. I was working and, taking on their energy, all of these things, living, this generator lifestyle. But once I realized, oh, I need to rest more or just not even nap, just step back, stop, take breaks. Then when I did take a nap, it was so much shorter. And then I realized,
mm,
oh, I'm not actually taking naps anymore because I've given myself enough space in the day between what I'm doing. So I don't need to nap. I'm resting in other ways. And that's the thing. Everyone needs to have that pause and rest. Like even manifesting generators, you guys need to rest, but it's not the same way that projectors do or
hmm
non-sacrals. Like you can be like, I'm going to go out for a run. And that is your break. That is your
hmm
time away because
So true.
mentally you're doing something else. And so, your friend, it, anyone who, if you have an open or a defined head, yes, you want to kind of separate as much as possible. You're not going to quiet your mind. That's kind of impossible to quiet your mind. You can lessen all the stuff that's coming in, but even if you have an open head in ajna, honestly, yeah, give it a try. You can lay down without falling asleep. I mean, if you're falling asleep, you're tired and you need to sleep. But meditation is just kind of calming your body, calming your mind, and realigning. So if that works
Hmm
for her, if she needs to take a nap at 1 o'clock every day, do what your body tells you
hmm
need to do. Rest and recharge.
Yeah. Well, I love that little foray into human design and energy types because I really think it's relevant. And for anybody who would like to learn more about their human design, definitely Kim. I,
hmm I was gonna say, Kim's your girl.
Kim's your girl. Yeah. I mean, I think we all have some human design experience, but I think like you just light up like a Christmas tree, sister. So she loves that. Yeah. So I've loved exploring the nuances around what hustle is and can be and how it feels. And ultimately, I think that, body signals, energetic senses, knowing your rhythm can be really helpful in exploring more around like, how do I really want to feel? How do I want to direct this momentum in my life versus let it just be like this bumper car situation? I love it. Like, we're learning to turn on the blinker, right? We're learning to understand when the car needs maintenance, all of those things. So, I'm just really want to not drive home, but invite our listeners into that awareness for themselves. And maybe there's a micro shift that could be made. And again, change can happen micro choices at a time. It doesn't have to be this full blown, like, I've got to change everything. Yes, that can be scary. So, try the micro shifts, try something a little bit different and see if that maybe places you back in the lane that you want to be and the energy that you want to feel during the holidays or in any situation. So, with that being said, is there anything that you ladies would like to add or say to our audience before we wrap this up?
I was just thinking that I know some people love the hustle.
Mm-hmm.
They love the hustle. They love the grinding because it gives them energy. It gives them purpose. And some people it gives them direction because without it, they don't know what to do. They're twiddling their thumbs. And if that is you and it works for you, have at it. But don't be mad that other people aren't meeting you where you're at. You know, don't have that expectation that other people should be doing that. And I know that's what a lot of people do. Either they're like, oh, you're doing too much, or oh, you're not doing enough. If that works for you, do you, boo. That's it. But yeah, that's the thing, I'm not a hustler. I don't grind, you know. First of all, that's gonna make me tired and icky. But if that's you, go for it, do your thing, but just be cautious and, of your expectations for other people. But don't listen to yourself. That's it.
How about you, Dori? Anything there?
I think the thing that there's a couple of things. The first one is just that hustle can be good, you know. It can be a good thing, but just adding to all the things that Kim just said, hustle can be good. But it doesn't mean it's for everyone. And I think for me, it kind of goes back to the question, what were those choice points? It was really important for me to find people who could appreciate my energy type. They didn't need to operate at the same speed or pace or velocity, that I operated at, but just people who could appreciate what I was doing and was not trying to slow me down, right? That was really, really important. And so I think that would be my last thing. Just find the people who will appreciate your
Everything.
yeah. I can't think of the word, but your independence from them. Like, so, because that's where synergy happens.
Yeah.
So,
Love that. Yeah, I'm kind of hearing this intentional hustle and mindful grind. Right? Like, just a little nuance
that
there.
sounds kind of oxymoronish.
It does. Well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the awareness around it. Like, hustle can turn to grind, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So I just wanted to kind of give a little teaser here in 2026. Hiccups and Hot Flashes, I'm hoping here to launch a little bit of a series on midlife leadership awakening. That's something that's really been coming up in different ways in my work, personal relationships and things, and with women that I'm talking with. So we'll talk about the hot flashes, the brain shifts, patterns that maybe no longer serve us, and how finally to step into the power that's been inside of you all along. And so might be messy, but it'll be real and it'll be a fun conversation. So I can't wait to dive in with you. So if you love what you hear here, if you're resonating, comment on this episode and let us know what topics you'd like to hear or see more of. And we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Excellent.